Introduction: the day superheroes changed forever. Before 1962, superheroes were almost godlike figures, larger than life, morally perfect, and always victorious. Superman was an invincible alien, Batman was an untouchable genius, and the Fantastic Four, while flawed, were still a team of celebrated adventurers. Superheroes solved problems effortlessly, and their struggles rarely felt like real, lasting burdens. Then, Spider-Man happened. With the release of Amazing Fantasy number 15, readers met Peter Parker, the high school student who wasn't popular, wasn't rich, and wasn't ready to be a hero. Instead of being admired like Superman or Bruce Wayne, Peter was bullied, ignored, and burdened by responsibilities he never asked for. But here's what made Spider-Man revolutionary. His superpowers didn't make his life better, they made it worse. His greatest enemy wasn't a villain, it was his own guilt and bad decisions. He didn't always win. He suffered, failed, and lost people he loved. Spider-Man didn't just change comics, he changed the definition of what it meant to be a hero. Today, we'll take a deep dive into how Peter Parker revolutionized storytelling, why his struggles reshaped the superhero genre, and how his legacy still influences modern comics, films, and pop culture today. 1. A hero unlike any before him, the radical creation of Spider-Man. To understand how Spider-Man redefined superhero comics, we have to look at how radically different he was at the time. A superhero who wasn't respected. Most heroes were celebrated by the public. Superman was the world's greatest hero. The Fantastic Four were celebrities. Even Batman, though feared, was respected. Spider-Man? He was hated. The Daily Bugle painted him as a dangerous vigilante. The police saw him as a criminal. His greatest critics, like J. Jonah Jameson, weren't supervillains, they were ordinary people who spread misinformation about him. This was unheard of. Before Spider-Man, heroes didn't have to deal with public perception the way Peter Parker did. His battles weren't just against supervillains, they were against society itself. B. A teenager who wasn't a sidekick. At the time, teenage superheroes existed, but they were always sidekicks: Robin, Kid Flash, Bucky Barnes. No one believed a teenager could be a main character until Spider-Man. Peter Parker wasn't just a kid with powers, he was the main hero of his story. Unlike sidekicks, he didn't have a mentor like Batman to guide him. He had to figure it all out on his own, and he made mistakes along the way. C. A hero motivated by guilt, not destiny. Superheroes usually became heroes because of duty: Superman, revenge; Batman, or curiosity; Fantastic Four. But Peter Parker, he got powers and used them selfishly. His arrogance led to Uncle Ben's death. He realized that he had the power to stop it, and he didn't. This revolutionized superhero origins. Instead of choosing to be a hero, Peter became one because he had to live with the consequences of his failure. With great power comes great responsibility wasn't just a catchphrase, it was his curse. This made him the most relatable superhero ever created. 2. The superhero who suffered like his readers. Another major way Spider-Man changed comics was by making heroes suffer in ways readers could relate to. A. Superpowers didn't fix his problems, they created more. Most superheroes used their powers to escape normal life. Batman's wealth solved his problems. Superman's abilities made life easier. Peter Parker, his superpowers ruined his life. He missed school because of crime fighting. He couldn't hold down a job because he was always late. He constantly struggled to pay rent, unlike rich heroes like Bruce Wayne or Tony Stark. For the first time, a superhero wasn't better off because of their powers, he was worse off. B. His greatest losses were permanent. Before Spider-Man, superhero stories were often predictable. The hero won, saved the girl, and everything went back to normal. But Spider-Man introduced permanent consequences. Uncle Ben's death, his first and biggest failure, shaping his entire life. Gwen Stacy's death, 1973, this was the moment comics grew up. Before this, heroes always saved their love interests at the last second. When Gwen died, it shattered readers. Peter Parker failed, and nothing could undo it. Harry Osborn's downfall, Peter's best friend, didn't just turn evil for an issue, his descent into madness as the Green Goblin was a long, painful process that ended in tragedy. For the first time, superhero stories had emotional weight. The things Peter lost didn't come back. See, the struggles of a normal life. Beyond superhero battles, Peter had problems that no other hero dealt with. School stress, he had to study for exams while fighting crime. Financial struggles, he had to take photos of himself to make money, and even then, Jameson underpaid him. Relationship issues, unlike Superman, who had a stable relationship with Lois Lane, Peter Parker's love life was a mess. Gwen died, MJ left him multiple times, and Black Cat loved Spider-Man but not Peter Parker. Peter Parker wasn't just a superhero, he was a real person. 3. How Spider-Man changed superhero storytelling forever. Spider-Man's influence didn't just stop with his own comics, he reshaped the way superhero stories were written across the industry. Superheroes could have emotional depth. Before Spider-Man, superheroes had clear moral lines. They were either perfect, Superman, or dark Avengers, Batman. Spider-Man introduced the idea that a hero could be deeply flawed, insecure, and emotionally broken. This led to more complex heroes like Wolverine, a hero struggling with his violent nature. Daredevil, a blind vigilante dealing with Catholic guilt. The X-Men, mutants facing discrimination, inspired by Peter Parker's outsider status. Supporting characters became more than background extras. Before Spider-Man, supporting characters were just there to prop up the hero. But Peter Parker's supporting cast had depth, arcs, and real stakes. Aunt May, not just a caretaker, but a source of emotional conflict. Jonah Jameson, not just a one-dimensional villain, but a complex character whose hatred of Spider-Man was rooted in insecurity. Mary Jane Watson started as a flat but grew into one of the most well-developed love interests in comics. After Spider-Man, writers started treating supporting characters like real people. Conclusion: why Spider-Man is the most important superhero ever. Spider-Man didn't just redefine superhero comics, he redefined what it meant to be a hero. He made superheroes relatable, no more perfect gods, just flawed people trying to do their best. He introduced lasting consequences, no easy resets, just permanent change. He made superhero stories more emotional, tragedy, loss, and personal struggles became just as important as supervillains. Without Spider-Man, we wouldn't have modern heroes like Miles Morales, Kamala Khan, or even the darker tones of Batman and Daredevil stories. Peter Parker isn't just the greatest superhero, he's the superhero that made comics grow up. But now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Spider-Man is the most important superhero in comic book history? What's your favorite Spider-Man story that had a lasting impact on you? And which superhero do you think carries on his legacy today? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get the conversation going because African Reads Comics is all about deep dives, storytelling, and celebrating the heroes who shaped comics. And hey, if you enjoyed this breakdown and want more in-depth explorations of your favorite superheroes, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. With great power comes great responsibility, and your support helps this channel grow, so let's keep diving into the world of comics together. See you in the next one.